Good afternoon and good evening, wherever this video finds you. My name is Leon Versfeld. I am the managing partner of Versfeld Hugo. We are an immigration firm that is headquartered in Kansas City in the United States. And we represent people from all over the world coming to the United States on a variety of different non-immigrant visas and immigrant visas. We also have a department within our firm that does immigration to other parts of the country. Our firm was founded by myself and my partner, Etienne Hugo, who respectively graduated from the University of Pretoria in South Africa and immigrated to the US. Myself and Etienne immigrated to Australia. We have, since the start of our firm, helped people immigrate to the United States and Australia respectively, sharing with them the journey that we went through, and helping people immigrate to these two different countries. That has expanded into other parts of the world. We understand that the world has become smaller and smaller. It is helpful to have permanent residency from other countries, citizenship from other countries, in order to conduct business, and as the world becomes smaller, have some options as it relates to immigration and navigating the world. Today, I am joined with one of our new attorneys who have joined us, Eduardo. Eduardo is a lawyer licensed in Brazil. And I'm going to ask Eduardo to maybe just give us a little bit of a background of himself. Eduardo?
So hello you all, wherever you watch this video. Hi Leon. So my name is Eduardo Giugliano. I'm a Brazilian licensed attorney. I went to law school in Minas Gerais, one of the biggest states in Brazil, and I was born and raised in São Paulo. And it's a pleasure to join you, Leon, to discuss a little bit about immigration to Brazil.
Thank you, Eduardo. So Eduardo's first language is Portuguese. My first language is Afrikaans. And we sometimes struggle through the English language to communicate with one another. And that's what we all try to do, since the lingua franca, it seems, from all over the world is the English language. We're going to delve into some Brazilian visa and permanent residency options today. And I think what we'll do is we'll maybe just start kind of on a general framework. And Eduardo, maybe just have you share with our viewers some of the main visa categories in Brazil.
Yeah, for sure. So we have plenty of visa categories in Brazil. So work visas, family reunification visas, study, investment. And the categories of visa that I would like to further discuss with you today will be the ones that can be self-petitioned. So a self-petition visa, it's the one that allows the foreign nationals to apply for residence in Brazil without the sponsorship of, for example, a Brazilian company or a Brazilian institution. So this means that the applicant can start the process and support its own petition based on qualifications, investment, or income, for example.
Fantastic. And so that's very helpful, especially when you are able to do this yourself and you're not relying on a family member and or a company to do so. How is it? Does one need to be in Brazil, or can you apply for this visa outside Brazil?
So both options are available. Actually, the Brazilian legislatory framework, it's really open to applications abroad or inside Brazil. So if you're applying abroad, you are not in Brazil, you must go through a process that is called previous residence. So you first apply for an authorization before the Ministry of Justice in Brazil. It is an online process. And then you can, after it is approved, you can obtain a visa at the designated Brazilian consulate. However, if you are already in Brazil on a legal status, such as a tourist visa, for example, or a visitor visa, you may apply directly to the Ministry of Justice. And the process is kind of a little bit more streamlined in this case. But in both ways, in both cases, after the process is approved, there is the mandatory registration step within the federal policy of Brazil. So if you are already there, 30 days after your process is already approved by the Ministry of Justice, you must register within the federal policy. or you have 3 months or 90 days after you enter in Brazil with your issued visa, if you are not in Brazil at the time of the application.
Gotcha. And what is the timeline typically for the approval process on these applications once you submit them?
So it varies from visa to visa, but on average, I would say it takes around 30 to 60 days after the submission for the Ministry of Justice, and then around 2 to 4 weeks to get the visa issued. And it also really depends on which consulate you're going to apply for the visa.
If you followed us on some of our previous webinars before, it is astonishing to me wherein we specialize in U.S. immigration, on how long U.S. immigration takes in order to adjudicate certain cases, where we talk months and we talk years to adjudicate cases. We had someone here from the UK in one of our other webinars who also talked about days, weeks, and maybe a couple of months to adjudicate. And I wonder why there is such a lack of efficiency, it seems like, on the U.S. government side when it comes to the adjudication of things. So always good to compare some notes. Eduardo, let's maybe just talk about what is the number. There's a real estate investment visa. Let's talk a little bit about that. What's that visa number again?
Yes, it's the NR 36 for the real estate investment.
Okay.
So this NR 36 visa, it grants residence to foreign nationals who invest personal funds in real estate in Brazil, mainly urban real estate. So it is aimed for individuals that wish to live in Brazil or buy a property and real estate in Brazil without needing to, for example, establish in a company here or have employment ties.
So does this need to be personal property, or can it be property that rents out? What kind of property? Commercial property?
Yeah, it can be rented out. It does not need to be for personal use. The regulation does not really restrict rental, but there is important that the investment was made personally, so it cannot be through a company. It has to be by the person itself. It cannot be a foreign company buying a house in Brazil. It must be done by the person.
So would one of the, is it the favelas qualify up there at Rio? Does that qualify as a real estate property that I can buy? Or what? How much do I need to invest in one of these real estates?
So we're talking about more real estate with a higher value, and it needs to be, when we talk about urban real estate, it needs to be regulated. So it have to have all the legal documents, for example, all the registrations. So it varies by region, the amount of investment. The standard amount would be 1 million reais, that in US dollars is around $180,000,
Okay.
the current conversion rate. But if you invest in the north or northeast region of Brazil, then it drops to 700,000 Brazilian reais, which would be around $130,000 US dollars.
Gotcha. And so does this lead to some kind of a permanent residency in Brazil?
Yeah, it sure does. So the first residence is granted for 2 years, and then there is an option to renew for another 2 years. After this period of combined, in total, it would be 4 years. Then the investor can request the permanent residence. But there is one important thing to bear in mind. Every 2 years, the person has to stay in Brazil for at least 30 days. So there is the requirement in the legislation. Although you invest in a property and you can continue to live outside Brazil if you want, to grant the path for permanent residence, you need to be here at least for 30 days every 2 years.
That's not bad at all. So tell me then, is this a very popular project or investment that foreign nationals do? It seems very low in comparison to other parts of the world where you need to do a similar real estate investment that ultimately leads to permanent residency. Is this a very popular visa category?
Yes, it is a really popular visa category, especially due to the currencies that, for example, Americans and Europeans, they have a privilege in the currency, let's say, in face of real. So sometimes their currency, it's worth 5,000 or 6,000 times more than the real, so the investment does not seem that high for foreign nationals. Although for R1 million here in Brazil, you can buy some real good real estate, some really good real estate here in Brazil,
I
depending
have
on the
someone.
region.
There's someone who asked a question. Before I get your permanent residency, you get. Did you say it's the RN36 or NR36 visa?
Yeah, NR36 visa.
And so, does that visa then allow you to go back and forth between wherever, South Africa, the US, to Brazil, back and forth? And how long is that visa valid for again?
Yes, it's valid for 2 years, initial period of 2 years, and then you can get another 2 years of renewal. If you have stayed at least inside these 2 years, you must stay at least 30 days in Brazil. Then you get second renewal of 2 years, and after this combined 4 years, you can apply for permanent residence if all the investment requirements haven't changed. So if you have not sold out the property, for example, you have to maintain it.
And how long does that permanent residency process then takes once I convert this from the RN36 visa?
So for the permanent residence, we would be talking again around 30 to 60 days for the ministry to approve it. There is a conversion of temporary residence into permanent residence. And again, if you are already in Brazil, then you go to the federal police for the registration, and they will take around a month probably to issue you your permanent residence card.
Gotcha. And another question that I see popped up here is how long then does it take for you to become a citizen of Brazil once you are a permanent resident? Or what is the steps to do that?
For citizenship, it depends, because it will depend if you, for example, get married with a Brazilian national, or you have children here, your proficiency in Portuguese language. So there is a series of factors. So for citizenship, it would be a more case-by-case analysis, because it depends on individual factors of each one.
Very interesting. Well, let me ask you this. What about retirees? Are there visas available for retirees, people who are wanting to say, hey, listen, I want to quickly pop over to Rio, hang out there. So
Yes,
are there
for
visas,
sure.
green cards, or
Sure.
residency available for retirees and pensioners?
Yeah, so if you do not, for example, want to buy a real estate in Brazil and you just want to live here with your pension, you qualify for the NR40 visa. So for this NR40, you must evidence that you receive a retirement income of at least $2,000 per month, US dollars again, per month, and you have the ability to transfer those funds to Brazil, at least $2,000 per month.
Gotcha. So you have to then have a Brazilian account that is set up. So just logistically speaking, so if I have Social Security, which I doubt that pay that much, that will pay $2,000 into my US bank account, I have to then transfer the entire $2,000 into my Brazilian bank account.
Yeah, you have to prove that, for example, these $2,000, they're not compromised with other financial commitments, that you have this available for transferring to Brazil. You do not need to open a Brazilian account before getting here or before having your visa approved. It would be really difficult to do so, because you need a tax code here in Brazil.
And sorry, does that tax code come with a visa?
No, it's a different application, but it's also a quick one. It's online, so, and it's really fast. It generally takes around 2 weeks to get it issued, sometimes even less than 2 weeks. But it's really a simple process. And while doing the visa, you can request the tax code. It can be done in parallel with the visa request.
Gotcha. So second question that I have here for you, I know that this may sound contradictory to a pensioners and retirement visa, but does this visa allow you to work? So, if I want to have a job at a bar on the Rio beach, can I work for that bar with this visa?
No, you cannot have any kind of formal work because this is for residents only, because the government is assuming that you are a retiree in other countries, so you shouldn't be working anymore. So this is a visa designed for residents, mainly for residents and not for work.
I gotcha. And so just going back one on that real estate investment one, the RN36, am I allowed to work on that visa when I come in?
Yeah, there is no legal prohibition of work on real estate visa, although it may be necessary to get a special permit for you to work. But in general, you would be allowed under other kinds of visas. Just this retiree one that has this specialty, because
Restriction.
it is just for retirees. But in other kind of works, Brazil, it's widely more open to letting you work in here while hold this visa.
Gotcha.
Generally, it's not a problem.
Let's talk about family. We talked about some of the self-petitions.
Yes.
We've talked about the real estate investment. We also talked about the retirees. So am I able to bring my spouse with me? And what does he or she need to qualify for if they come with me?
Yes, it's actually even more streamlined process if you want to bring your family. So after you get your visa approved and you are registered within a federal police, then your family can come to Brazil, for example, on a visitor visa, or if they want to apply for family reunification at the consulate abroad, they can, but it does not have to go through the Ministry of Justice. This is more an administrative process. So, for example, if you are here in Brazil and you decide to apply for a visa, you get your visa approved, and your family are here with you, you're on tourist visa, for example, you came for a vacation and you decided to stay. Then after your visa is approved, then you all will book or schedule an appointment within the federal police, and you go there for the family reunification visa. That will be analyzed by the officer in the federal police, so they want to see if the marriage is legit, because there is sometimes marriage fraud here in Brazil as well. So you probably check your marriage certificate, you have been living together, if you have a joint bank account, joint health insurance, for example. But the process is way more streamlined because you go directly to the federal police. It does not take this 1 or 2 months with the Ministry of Justice to analyze that. You book an appointment within federal police and go straight there to get your case analyzed.
So this is for your spouse. What about kids? Can you bring your kids with you?
Yeah, you can bring kids with you as well, if you can prove that they are the legal age here in Brazil, the major legal age here in Brazil, it's 18 years old, with some conditions for 21 and even 24 years old if they are still in college, for example. But for kids, the key would be, are they still financially dependent on you? If so, then
financially dependent, yeah.
Yes, we may have a case here.
I think that a lot of kids these days remain financially dependent on their parents until
yeah. So that would be the key for the process. Depending, of course, on the age of the kid.
Yeah. All right. And what about my mother-in-law? Can I bring my mother-in-law as well?
It is possible. Again, we would go on a case-by-case basis, because then we would need to always verify the broader scope of being financially dependent on the immigrant that is here in Brazil.
So, what was interesting is my partner in Australia on how big the family unit that is inclusive of a principal immigration benefit really span. And I'm just kind of curious, as you know, in the US, those are very limited. You have a spouse and then kids under 21 that can kind of derive an immigration benefit, from the principal applicant. There is obviously not tongue-in-cheek a mother-in-law that kind of piggybacks along with anything. Definitely not a brother and a sister. And so it makes it sometimes tough. I mean, families are cohesive, and splitting them up through an immigration process makes things sometimes very complicated and very difficult. But what you're saying is the mother-in-law or my mom or my dad will be able to also derive a benefit if, say, I am qualified under the real estate investment visa.
Yes. Again, the key would be to show that they are financially
Dependent.
dependent on
Gotcha.
you. Then again, it will be a case by case. I have worked on case that we were able to bring the family,
Mhm.
and others were not because we could not evidence the financial dependent. Then we had to study another visa for the parents, for example. It really depends, but the Brazilian immigration, it's really based on an humanitarian view, so not to split families as you mentioned.
Gotcha.
So that's
Hmm.
an important thing to consider regarding Brazilian immigration. But then again, it would be a case by case basis to observe who can you bring as a dependent. Of course, what is more streamlined and what is more clear, it's always the spouse and the children until a certain age. And after that, we will need to go on a case by case basis to observe if the family qualifies to be your dependent.
Gotcha. So from what I'm hearing you saying is this: I just need to show dependency, and then for families to come. I think that it just makes so much more logical sense. We have had some folks who have dependent children that are over the age of 21, that are through some medical reason dependent on their parents, and there is no mechanism built in to derive a benefit from a principal applicant on the visa applications that we have in the United States. So you have someone who has a child that's got Tourette's syndrome, or maybe a paraplegic, or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
that makes things extremely difficult in order to come on over and or then file a subsequent and independent visa application
Yeah.
for that family member.
Yeah, or if,
So
like, for example, that parents that are ill or need healthcare
yes,
assistance, need take care. So this
yeah,
is also something that is considered. So that's the key to show and evidence that. And of course, we do it on a case by case basis. So that's what I would say. Outside the spouse and children under 21, then we would analyze on a case by cases on the criteria of being dependent or not.
gotcha. And so would you then also, just on the dependents subject, would you apply for these dependents after the principal applicant receive a benefit, or would you do it all together?
No, here in Brazil, the petition before the Ministry of Justice, this is only for the main applicant. There is even no, if you log into the system, there's not even possible to add family there.
Okay.
But then if the person is outside Brazil and applying for a visa, then the family can go out together at the consulate. So they probably will first analyze the main applicant visa. And if it is approved and issued, then the family can apply for the family reunion visa. That's what it's called here in Brazil. Or if everybody is already here in Brazil, for example, then after the process is approved, the person goes to the federal police, get themselves registered, and then after it's duly registered, the family can go to the federal police and request the family reunification.
Gotcha. All right. Maybe let's just switch gears. We talked about the real estate investment. Seems pretty low to invest into real property over there and derive a benefit and ultimately become a permanent resident in Brazil. We talked about the retirees and the pensioners. Both of these two visa applications are all self-petition, which is great. You don't need to rely upon anybody or an employer or a family member. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is this digital nomad visa. Tell us what is that?
Yeah, this one is also pretty new. It's one of the newest visas here in Brazil. So basically, under Brazilian law, the digital nomad, it would be a foreign national who will work remotely for foreign companies using information technology, communication technology, as computers and etc., using technology in general. The key here is that they must not have any kind of work relation or work contract with a Brazilian entity. So they have to exclusively work for foreign entities.
So in other words, what I'm hearing you say is that I can take my laptop and I can go sit on Empanina Beach, and I can work doing U.S. immigration from there, and I would be utilizing this digital nomad visa. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct, because then you could certify that you can work exclusively on a remote basis for a company that is not placed in Brazil. That is not a Brazilian company.
So what is the minimum? Is there a minimum income requirement that I need to make if I go work digitally for a foreign company while I'm in Brazil?
Yes, $1,500 per month would be the minimum.
$1,500 a month.
Yes.
Okay.
Or if you cannot meet this income, you must show that you have on your bank balance at least 8,000 USD.
Okay, $8,000 as a balance on my account at the time of
18,000 US dollars.
Oh, 18, 1-8.
Yes.
18,000.
Yes, 1-8, 18.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So is this just for remote employees, or is this for entrepreneurs, freelance?
So the key here is to show that you can work exclusively remotely for companies that are outside Brazil. If you are an entrepreneur or you are a freelancer and you can certify and you can prove that their income it's exclusively generated outside Brazil, and that you work on a fully remote basis, if you can document that and you meet this minimum income that we discussed or have this minimum bank balance, then you would be able to apply for the visa. The key is to demonstrate that you work exclusively on a remote basis and that you work for companies outside Brazil. You can be an entrepreneur, you can be the owner of your own company and work with other entities and other companies, but you need to prove and evidence that you can work solely on a remote basis.
Gotcha. So how long is this visa usually valid for?
1 year, and then you have the possibility to renew it always on a yearly basis.
Is there a limit on how many times I can renew this?
So as this regulation is recent, they have not made further discussions on that. As it stands right now, it just says that it's valid for 1 year and it can be renewed for equal periods of 1 year. I believe there will be probably developments on this legislation, but it is quite new. So far, that's what we've got.
And so, again, I can apply for this outside the Brazil, or I can apply for it like while I'm a tourist over there. Is that correct?
Yes. So what's imagine you came here as a tourist for vacations, for example, and then you said, okay, I really like this place. I want to stay here, and I'm a remote worker. And you changed your mind, and you said, okay, I want ways to stay here. I want to find a way to stay here. And if you qualify, then you can apply here in Brazil as the other ones that we mentioned. So you can apply here without needing to leave the country and get back to your own country or other places to get a visa. You can apply while you're here in Brazil in a legal status.
Gotcha. And again, I'm only limited to working for my foreign company remotely. I'm not allowed with this visa to go work at Starbucks or again go work on Empanina Beach, serving cocktails.
No. You need to work solely for a foreign company.
Gotcha.
No employment ties with Brazilian companies.
And what about my family? If I bring my family with me, my spouse, what kind of visa will they be coming over on? They're not going to be working remotely. They're just going to hang out, and I'm going to be the only one working remotely.
That would be again a family reunification, the same as the other one. So in Brazil, it's kind of streamlined. If you have a residence authorization, you have a visa to live here, and then you can prove, of course, that you have family ties, so for example, marriage, or that you have children that want to come here to Brazil. If they are right here, go to the federal police and apply for the family reunification visa. If they are outside, they need to apply at a foreign consulate.
Remind me again, how long is the tourist visa usually valid for if someone travels from? Does it differ from country to country?
Yeah, it widely differs from country to country. There are a lot of countries that are exempt of tourist visa, so you don't even need a tourist visa to enter in Brazil. But it varies. I would say that the standard one would be 3 months. But again, you really need to check your country because it varies widely from country to country.
I'm sure the Delta agent will probably tell you right before you get on a flight that, hey, listen, buddy, you need a visa to go to Brazil if you're coming from the United States or wherever the case may be.
Yes, for American citizens, they need to apply for an e-visa.
Online.
It's an electronic application. So, but yeah, we need to analyze that on a case by case because some countries will be 3 months, some countries will be 6 months. It really depends.
Gotcha. Do you know if South Africans need visas to go to Brazil on a tourist basis?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe they do need visitor visas to come to Brazil, and it's valid for 3 months.
They did not. So I know that it did not, and then it changed again. I mean, it seems like the Brazilian immigration at least is as robust as the Australian immigration, where it changes often, or maybe it's just we're so used to American immigration not changed since the 90s, so we're still stuck with old laws that has not evolved to dealing with our current situation. But
actually, I just got here because there is like this information in the Brazilian ministry website, and currently today, so August 6th, 2025, I don't know when you are going to watch this video, South Africans does not need visas to come to Brazil for tourism or business, but there is this 3-month limitation.
So I can just tell to some of the South Africans that usually watch our videos that at least the Groen Mamba, which is the green mamba, the green passport, gets you into a country like Brazil without a visa. South Africans always need to apply for a visa everywhere they go. So it's good to know that Brazil is a welcoming country where they don't need to apply for a visa to go visit over there. Eduardo, it was so great visiting with you today. I will just quickly go over what we've discussed. We talked about self-petitioning visas. We talked about options of doing this inside Brazil as well as outside, these two options. But the three main self-petition visas that we talked about today was the real estate investment that can be anywhere from as low as $70,000 all the way to up at $180,000 to invest into a real estate, to get the real estate visa that ultimately would lead to permanent residency. We talked about the pensioners and the retirees. I'm sure that there's a lot of them in the United States would welcome the opportunity to spend some extensive time in Brazil on these visas. And then last but not least, a very interesting digital nomad visa that, again, allows you to go to Brazil with your laptop and go work remotely from over there in an environment that was created after COVID. It seems like anybody who does anything can work from remotely. In the United States, it's a little bit more complicated if you want to come and work remotely over here. Number one, aside from the fact that your visa, tourist visa, or will limit you on how long you could stay here. There's also some interpretation on different areas from the U.S. immigration that if you avail yourself here for employment and generating income, that you may be working without authorization. But maybe just a few comments, Eduardo, before we sign off. Some closing remarks.
So just again, thank you for the opportunity. It was a pleasure to discuss some of these Brazilian visas with you, especially the self-petitioners one. And just as a final remark that I would warn our clients or anyone watching this video. So if you want to identify the best kind of visa for you, you can always reach out so we can analyze on a case-by-case basis. If it's best to apply outside Brazil, it's best to apply inside Brazil. which one it's faster, that widely varies, but besides these three ones that we discussed, I would say that the NER 40 and NER 45 are way more faster because you don't need to get involved in the process of purchasing a residence that may take a while, to find the real estate that you want and then going on to the procedures of purchasing it. And there is also, of course, difference in the documents if you apply inside Brazil and outside Brazil, because if we're applying outside Brazil, we have an additional step. There is the consular interview and analysis of documents. So there will be fewer documents submitted to the Ministry of Justice, while that if you are here in Brazil, you need to submit more documents to the Ministry of Justice. And there's one particular document that sometimes people struggle to obtain, and basically all Brazilian visas will require that. There is a policy clearance certificate. Almost all
Police
Brazilian
clearance
visas will,
certificate. Yes.
yes,
Okay.
almost all Brazilian visas would require you to get one from your country of origin or the country that I have been living for the past 5 years. So that's an important remark when planning to immigrate to Brazil, to see if you can get this document. For example, Brazilians can get this document online, but I know that Americans and some South Africans that have worked in the past, they need to sometimes go to the local police department to get it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on a very insightful insight on the top 3 Brazilian immigration self-petition visas. You can find more information on our website at Versfeld Immigration /Brazil. That was easy for me to say. Or obviously, you can always email us at info@versfeldimmigration.com. Again, that email address is info@versfeldimmigration.com. Find some more information on our website at versfeldimmigration.com/Brazil. Eduardo, thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, to make sure that you join us for our next video on some other options to immigrate to other countries. Eduardo, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all a great afternoon, great morning, or great evening, wherever this video finds you. Take care. Bye-bye.